when you get into something new, there's always a learning curve, and we've started flipping cars. I've found out that I do better if I buy off the street on advertised, not on Facebook Marketplace. Just plumb off of the street, just find a deal there. Uh, if you've got a little bit of mechanic experience, that's a big help because you can fix some things pretty simple. Get a code reader, check it out and just fix it. But anyway, the video is mostly about your public auto auctions. I've been attending one. I've went about 5 times now, and what I've found at the public auto auction is that mostly what's there is what the dealers don't want to sell on their lots. 90% of the cars that are in there have check engine lights on. Take your scan tool with you. I mean, if it shows more than 4 codes on it, I'm out. And, that might not seem like, some of the things that the code reader tells you might not seem like a big deal. But when you go to resell that car and it has the engine light on, then, you've got to explain, what's going on with that car. If you're not transparent with your auto sales, you're not going to do very well. I bought 3 in one night. The first night that I was there, I actually went to buy a truck because my truck tore up, and I ended up buying the truck and 2 more cars, and then went back the next week and bought another car. Well, first thing is I had to wait on titles. That's called a white light at an auto auction. There was no titles there, so I had to wait about a week to get titles on most of them, some of them a little longer. The truck that I bought for personal use scared me right off because it was so cheap. Come to find out what was going on with it is they had tried to get a miss out of it in the number 7, and they fooled around with it so much that they broke the connector that went onto the computer to where it won't snap in really well. So you drive the car, went through the auction, blah, 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 and that, and it sounded real good, and it was running. I went out and started it after I bought it, and it wouldn't even start. And the lot guy come over there and wiggled the wires around at the computer, and it started. I eventually bought a computer for it, and I thought thinking that the tab on the computer was the problem, but it was actually the connector itself that plugs into the computer. Anyway, what I ended up doing is just still using the old computer, and I took it off there and I pushed the plug in and zip tied it around for now. I'm not too handy with replacing those plugs. I've been looking for pigtails, but I can't seem to find one, which means you have to, repin it and all that. Anyway, so that was that truck and the problems with it. I bought the Subaru, Impreza. Really nice little car, had low miles on it, under 100,000. Did have an engine light on when I bought it. When we got it home, it drove just fine on the way home. When we got it home, the AT oil light started flashing, which is AT, it says AT something light, it has to do with the transmission. Well, after that, we started driving it some more, and it wouldn't shift out of first. So when it wouldn't shift out of first, I read the codes on it, and it said it had a bad transmission module. And I noticed the paddle shifters wouldn't work, the cruise control was on, so I went ahead and spent the $500 and fixed the and put the computer in it. I got lucky on that one. The transmission module did fix the problem. The thing shifted fine. I sold the car, actually made about $3,500 on it. The other car I bought was a Chevy Equinox, had the traction stabilizer light on. I found out that on a lot of GM cars, that is the problem. They'll have a traction stable light on, which means it's a bad steering wheel sensor, bad EGR valve. So you're looking at spending money. But basically, my learning curve on this, auto auction that the public can attend, you're going to find 2 things: cars that dealers want to get rid of because they don't want to do the repairs, cars that that personal owners want to get rid of, and because they don't want to sell it on the street to somebody and get backlash on it. They want to sell it as is at the auction and let somebody else have the problem. And then the other thing I find on the cars that don't have engine lights, and the dealers have brought them there, or their bank repos, is they won't sell them. You know, I mean, you do your research, you get your trade-in values, your private party values. My thing is I will go from the lowest trade-in value up to the lowest between the lowest of the two of the private party or the trade-in value. Sometimes the highest trade-in value is higher than the lowest private party value. So then I'll go with the lowest private party value. And then on top of that, then you go look at the car if it's got damage, and then you just kind of do your own, your own thinking there. I mean, you're buying these to make money. You're not buying them. Uh, and my theory is if I have to pay more than trade-in value or the lowest private party, I'll just buy it off the street where I've got longer time to look at it. I take my scan tool with me to this auction and I'll scan them. There was a pretty nice Dodge RT there the last week with the Hemi in it. Sounded good, looked good. Put the scan tool on it, had a 700 code, which is a transmission number. The 700s are transmissions, and something about the gear being out of synchronicity or something like that. And I thought, I don't want this car, because I don't want a problem. I want something that I can buy, clean up, sell. And that's another thing. Some of these cars at these public auctions are so filthy that you can't even clean the seats out of them. That was the thing with the Equinox. It was pretty dirty, and we tried to clean the seats up, and they were just stained so bad it just couldn't happen. Now there is a dealer-only auction near me that on one time a month they have a public auction, and they have an auction every Friday, and every Friday they might have a couple cars that the public can buy, but they're bank repos. And what I'm finding out about the bank repos is they want pretty much what the high private party value is. So you're not going to make any money paying that much plus your auction fees and your title transfers and all that if you ain't got a dealer's license. So but I'm going to go, I think it's the first Friday this coming up. I'm going to go over and, I'll look at the list first and see if it's up and above, what I'm willing to pay for cars and have the money tied up. But I'll see what they got, and I might make another video and tell you what I found up there. But what I've seen so far that they offered in the public were just the bank repos. And I'll go up there and see, this auction's a little bit more transparent. They'll post the photo of the car, and then they'll have a listing with it, and they'll have I forget how they call it, but they'll have like a list of problems. If the car have problems, they'll tell you if the tires are mismatched, if it has alternate suspension, if it's got a transmission problem, if it runs, don't run. I'm not sure if they put anything about engine codes in there. They will tell you if the catalytic converter's missing, stuff like that. So they're a little bit more transparent to where you know what you're getting. This other one that I'm going to, man, it's just a freaking show over there now. And another thing, when you're at an auction, if they brought in this stuff later after you'd done the preview, walk around both sides of the car. I've been sitting at the auction, and I'm sitting on one side and people are over on the other side, and the side that I'm on has damage, rust, or and the people on the other side are just bidding this thing up like it's awesome, and the other side's all bent up or all rusted out. And walk around the car, and look at the car, look at what you're buying. Don't buy on the impulse. Don't just be standing there and all of a sudden something came through you really didn't get a good look at, and you think, wow, that's cheap, throw up your hand, and next thing you know, you got a big turd that you can't sell or that you're going to lose money on. So far, I haven't lost any money at the auction. It wasn't a plan that I had came up with, well, I'm going to start selling cars, but it just kind of happened. And I'm going to try out this other auction that's up near me in Charleston, West Virginia, and I'm going to go to the public side of it, I think, coming up, and take a look around, see what they got, and see if the engine lights, take my code reader with me. And you never know, I might get some good deals up there, but I'm not going to pay private party value at an auction when you can buy that on the street. So that's my learning curve with the auction. Just be careful, watch for engine lights, look at both sides of the car. If you're buying to resell, have a mileage limit. I'm seeing stuff that's got 200 and some thousand miles on it, some of it's even 300. I like to keep below 150, prefer down around the 110s, 120s. You're not going to see them much less in some of these auctions. This dealer auction, where they let the public in, I am seeing some with less miles up there. But, we'll have to just see. I'm going to go to it and find out, and I'll post the results. Thanks for watching.